It's time to get to the fun stuff with the Classic Mini restoration. Now, just as a little bit of a refresher, we bought this vehicle at the beginning of the summer as a non-runner. We brought it to our mechanic Ted, and then Ted dove into the engine, dove into the transmission, and learned that basically the clutch fell out of it. So new clutch in it, then we had some issues with rough running, got that sorted, and then it was time to tackle the suspension, which was set up entirely wrong. So it's been completely reset up with a higher ride height. It's now aligned properly, and then we went and did the interior. So it's got a new interior in it with these bright red seats. They look so cool. And then I went ahead and did the hood stripes, or if you're from the UK, the bonnet stripes. So we're getting there with the Classic Mini. Mechanically, it took me forever to get this thing legal and registered, but now it's titled properly. It's ready to go here in the States. It's fully insured, it passed emissions, but the wheels and tires are really letting it down. This is a JDM spec Mini, and I figure that these tires have been on there for quite some time because they are old and dry rotted, and then the wheels are they're just a big disappointment to look at. But it turns out these wheels could be incredibly valuable. It's pretty well known that throughout the 60s and even into the 70s, these Minis were raced and rallied. And one of the kind of premier wheels that people would put on them back in the day was a wheel called the Rose Pedal. And that is this wheel design. It's very iconic to the Mini world, but if they are original, it could be incredibly valuable. If these are rose petals from like the 1960s, they could be, according to some people in the UK, thousands of pounds. Well, after a little investigation, it's pretty clear that these are not the original super valuable rose petals, because look at the size here, they are 12-inch wheels, and the original rose petals would have been 10-inch wheels. So that's kind of a bummer, but I've done some more investigation on this crazy website that lists pretty much every wheel available for the Mini, these original Minis. There's hundreds of wheel choices, but if you go into the 12-inch section, it turns out that they did a magnesium version of this wheel. Very lightweight, very high-tech, and also potentially extremely valuable, and those were 12-inch wheels. This is a JDM car, so these could be those crazy rare 12-inch rose petals. But we gotta figure out if they're magnesium or not, and it turns out there's a little trick to do so. Apparently there's a simple test to check for magnesium, or so the internet tells me. It's this right here. Vinegar. Apparently if you expose magnesium to vinegar, it'll start to bubble and fizz, and we're going to see if these wheels are actually made out of magnesium by doing just that. So I've got a little scraper tool here. The wheels are already old and pitted and just horrible to begin with, so I'm going to scrape away a little bit of the finish because they need to be refinished, just like that, trying not to put too big of a pit into it. Alright, so we got a nice little bit of exposed material there. And now for the vinegar. This is just standard household vinegar. Let's see if the internet is true. All right. Well, it immediately rolled off. Here, let me try it again. Try to keep it on there long enough to check for a fizz. It's hard to see on camera, but there's definitely no fizz going on there. Nothing at all. So these are not magnesium wheels, which means that they're really not worth a whole lot. They did a tons of reproduction versions of these rose petal wheels, so I could have refinished these wheels, but I think I'm going to go in a different direction. Now, I bought tires for those rose petal wheels a little while back, and they have to be special ordered because, of course, they're 12-inch wheels, not something you often see on Tire Rack. Anyways, when the tires came in, I really wasn't that happy with the plan that I had in place, which was to pull off those wheels and then get them repowder coated, because I just don't love the rose petal design, to be honest, in general. Now, this is my dream car, and in my mind, the ideal wheel for this car is the Mini Lights. Now, this is of course the wheel that everybody puts on their Classic Minis, and you can probably call me unoriginal for choosing this, but it is my favorite wheel design by far. I love these wheels, and I ordered them on Mini Mania, and the ordering process was pretty funny. There are many different sizes of this Classic Mini Light design. Depending on the wheel size, how much flair you have on the car, you can really go crazy with choosing the exact right specification. Now, I knew I wanted to stick with the 12-inch wheels because I already ordered the tires ahead of time, and I didn't want like a 5x12 because I thought it'd be a little bit too narrow for these big fender flares, so I ordered these. This is a 6x12-inch wheel. It's made by a company called John Brown Wheels, and I ordered one on Mini Mania just so I could test fit it, and it took weeks to come in. I believe because it came from the UK, to be honest, and I figured once I tested that, I could order the other three. Well, it took such a long time to come in that I was worried these other three would take a huge amount of time to come in as well, but I assume that these all came in kind of in a big bunch on a pallet, because this one took several weeks. These three took, I don't know, like a week. So it was really interesting to see that. But you know, you got to be patient when dealing with these classic minis. And actually, Mini Mania was pretty helpful. So big props to them. They were pretty expensive for the wheel and tire combo. Check out the price right there. But let's put them on and see if they fit. All right, now I'm far from a mechanic, so I've done a lot of research on how to jack up these classic minis. It turns out you can't simply just put the jacks underneath along the side of the vehicle like typical vehicles, because you run the risk of actually damaging the underside. So we have to go off the subframe. I'm going to start in the rear here. There seems to be a little bit more clearance, and up we go. It certainly isn't going to put a lot of strain on our jack, that's for sure. Look at those crazy lug nuts. Actually, bolts. Look at these crazy lug bolts. Look how long those are. Actually, I think they are nuts because they are threaded on the inside. Yep. All right, well, there goes the old wheel, and you can see, I think someone has had a little bit of fun with the spray paint. All right, here come the new wheels and tires. And actually, I'm going to revise what I said earlier. They really aren't that expensive in the grand scheme of things, especially for new wheels. They're just expensive for me, who's on a budget. But they did include new lug nuts as well. Let's see. Luckily, they are nice and light because I have no upper body strength to speak of. This is interesting. They're actually a little bit taller because I couldn't get the exact tire size I wanted in a all-season or even a summer tire. So I had to go a little bit taller on the tire. Hopefully that's not too big of an issue. So I got to jack the car up just a little bit more. The old tires were a 165, I believe 55 R12. These are a 165 60 R12, which is a much more common size. Hopefully we don't have any clearance issues. And the new lug nuts are going on. All right, let's lower it, see if we go slam it into the wheel arch. Ooh, so far so good. Yeah, they look really, really nice. One minute flat, changed. All right, well, look at that. I think it looks brilliant, just like I imagined it in my imagination. But let me know what you think in the comment section below of the 1993 Mini with the new Mini Light wheels. Looks like clearance is not going to be an issue, although I'll bring it out on the road and give it a thorough road test. But yeah, really freshens up the look of the car, and I'm stoked about it. Absolutely excited. Although I'm sure a lot of you in the comment section won't be. But as always, this has been Tommy with the Fast Lane Classics. Check out tflcar.com for the latest and greatest in new car reviews.